Andy Excel back with another NFXL podcast, and this is episode 12 of my State of the Franchise addresses, where I look at each of the 32 NFL teams coming out the 2025 season and into this off season and what they need to do to improve for next season. So, episode 12 belongs to the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys flattered to deceive last season, but made moves that grabbed the headlines and resulted in them having a highly effective offense, but a car crash of a defense, particularly early in the season. So it would seem clear what areas that the Cowboys need to focus on this off season if they are to make the postseason and/or challenge to win the NFC East next season. But is it as simple as sort the defense out and they will be good next season? They are another team that are in a poor calorie sack position right now. They're actually a fair bit over the cap. Um, According to overthecap.com appropriately. So we'll need to sort that out if they are to make the free agent acquisitions and moves to re-sign people that they need to. They they have they have two first round draft picks, one courtesy of the Mika Parsons trade. Let's just double check that actually. Two in the first round, but then they don't have a second or a third. So it's a bit mixed bag on what they have draft picks, um, which it puts an even greater need than normal on making those two first round picks very good ones, particularly considering their cap position. At quarterback, Dak Prescott led the league's number 3 ranked pass offense and put up big numbers as he's embedded as the Cowboys' starting quarterback until 2029. With Joe Milton as his backup, it seems the Cowboys are set at quarterback for 2026. Running back, the Cowboys' run offense ranked 10th in the league. Javonte Williams had a 1,200 rushing yard season with Malik Davis, Miles Sanders, and Jaden Blue backing him up. Although Sanders only played the first 4 games before getting hurt, he and Williams were both free agents this off-season. Sanders may well not be back, and he might not be a great miss if he's not back. But Williams' 1,200 yards would have taken some replacing if they had not given him a new 3-year deal. So that's first tick in the box for the Cowboys. At wide receiver, as I said earlier, Dak Prescott put up big numbers, hardly surprising when you have CD Lamb and George Pickens to throw the rock to. That pair had over 2,500 receiving yards and a dozen receiving touchdowns between them. Add in the trio of Cavonte Turpin, Ryan Flournoy, and Jalen Tolbert, who combined for over 1,000 yards and another 7 scores. And the Cowboys were absolutely stacked at wide receiver last season. Now, Pickens is going to cost a lot of money to bring back as a free agent, but you have to think they're going to do all they can to find a way to do so. I was just reading the other day, they're looking at Kenny Clark's and Quinn and Williams' contract to restructure them to create cap space that would allow to bring Pickens back and one other, which I'll come back to later. Jalen Tolbert is also a free agent, and his future may not be in Dallas from next season. At tight end, and if Prescott was spoiled at wide receiver, the gifts kept on coming at tight end. Jake Ferguson had 600 yards and 8 scores to add to his array of weaponry. So no need at tight end for sure this off-season. Offensive line, Prescott was sacked just 31 times last season and the running game was good, so the O-line has to take more than its share of plaudits for those numbers. All of that unit, with the exception of Brock Hoffman, are signed up for next term. As long as Hoffman is back, that will get the job done for the Cowboys, and it may be even if he is not re-signed. At defensive tackle, onto the defense we go, and this is where the Cowboys had their issues last season, ranking towards the bottom of the league. But having traded for Quinn and Williams mid-season, he and Osa Odigizua, easy for me to say, give the Cowboys one of the best interior D lines in the league. And with Kenny Clark, Solomon Thomas, and Perry and Winfrey backing them up, depth here is certainly not an issue. On the edge, once Mika Parsons departed, Jadeveon Clowney, Donovan Ezeuruaku, and Dante Fowler were left to provide the pass rush from the outside of the D line. They recorded 13.5 sacks between them, 8.5 of those coming from Clowney. Parsons pretty much averaged the total of those three combined on his own for his for his 4 full seasons as a Cowboy. So it's fair to say there is still a Parsons-sized void to fill on the edge for the Cowboys. Fowler is also a free agent this off-season, and it is entirely possible he's a cap casualty, all of which could well see the Cowboys use one of those first rounders on an edge rusher and maybe a mid-rounder too. Inside linebacker, DeMarvion Overshown, Kenneth Murray, Jack Sanborn, Logan Wilson, Maris Leofeld, and Damone Clark gave the Cowboys plenty of choice at inside linebacker last season. Overshown missed the first 9 games of the season, and Logan Wilson was a trade deadline acquisition. So with those two and Murray, they would be set for next season at inside linebacker. And with the other 3 also all under contract, this would seem to be another area the Cowboys can leave alone this off-season. At safety, so if they're good to go at defensive tackle and inside linebacker and need an additional 2 on the edge, their 31st ranked pass defense must indicate the secondary was lacking last season. PFF ranked Donovan Wilson 88th and ranked their safeties 88th and 66th of 98 safeties. So that would suggest that they failed to deliver for sure. Let's have a quick look at their depth chart here, because I've only put one name down in 2 because I'm an idiot. Right, who am I talking about? Donovan Wilson and Malik Hooker. So, given Wilson's poor season and his salary, he could be enough to leave Dallas for cap reasons and performance reasons this offseason, which could well lead to see them looking to add a safety via the draft too. At cornerback, no fewer than a dozen cornerbacks saw action for the Cowboys last season, which shows none of them was particularly successful. Trevon Diggs has been released. Deron Bland, Career Elam, Siobhan Ravel, and Reddy Stewart were the most used after his departure. The Cowboys will hope to see a big step up from Ravel next season to partner Bland, but an additional 2 here would certainly seem like a good move. Special teams. If Brandon Aubrey and Brian Anger the Cowboys had no issues off the boot in 2025. Now, Aubrey is a restricted free agent this off-season, and along with Pickens, he's the other one they need to find the dollars to retain for 2026. Apparently they're in a long, lengthy negotiations with him now, and it's interesting that they've got Williams done and they're seeking to get Aubrey done before they tackle the Pickens situation, which may be a case of just seeing how much it costs them for Williams and Aubrey, and then they'll know how much they need to shift from potentially Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark's package to create cap space to re-sign Pickens. Right, in summary, sort the cap space issue to keep George Pickens and Brandon Aubrey to join Javonte Williams on new deals, and that would be a fine start to the Cowboys off-season. Then they need to prioritise edge in the secondary with those first two first-round picks. That would still leave them looking weakish in their secondary, though, unless Siobhan Ravel improves markedly in year 2. Fail to bring Pickens back, and they'll probably use a franchise tag on him anyway. They may need to use one of those first-round picks on a wide receiver, but I doubt that's going to happen. Which in turn, that would mean neglecting edge or the secondary even more. But as I say, I suspect they'll find a way to get Pickens back, which will make edge and secondary their clear area to focus on this off-season. If they get all the pieces to fall in place, they are another NFC East team set to improve markedly next season, which is going to make it a mightily tough division to win, but the Cowboys could well do so if they get this off-season right. And whoever does prove themselves good enough to win that division could be a threat to go deep come the postseason. So reasons to be cheerful for Cowboys fans heading into the off-season. They've already got one good move made. There's a couple of other key ones they have to make, and then they have to nail those 2 first-round draft picks. Then they've got every chance in that division next season. So that's the Cowboys done and dusted. Next, I move on to the first team I'm going to cover who don't have a first-round draft pick. That's the Atlanta Falcons. So that one will be up next. See you soon.